Single dad's boss stood at his hotel room door at 2 a.m. and whispered, "Can I come in? We need to talk." Marcus felt his heart drop when he heard the knock. It was 2 in the morning and he was standing in a budget hotel room 3 states away from home, his 6-year-old daughter Emma asleep in the bed behind him. The business conference was supposed to be his big break, a chance to prove himself at the marketing firm where he'd been struggling to keep up since his wife passed away 2 years ago. Now his boss, Mr. Chen, was at his door in the middle of the night. Marcus knew what midnight conversations meant in the corporate world. He was about to lose everything. He opened the door just a crack, his throat tight with fear. Mr. Chen stood there in his hotel robe, his usually stern face softened by something Marcus couldn't quite read. "Can I come in?" he whispered. "We need to talk." Marcus stepped aside, his mind racing through everything that had gone wrong that day. The presentation he'd fumbled, the client meeting where he'd been distracted. The moment Emma had called the hotel room crying because the babysitter he'd arranged had canceled at the last minute, forcing him to bring his daughter along on this crucial trip. Before we continue with Marcus's story, if you're moved by tales of unexpected kindness and human compassion, please subscribe to Heartfelt Moments and hit that like button. Share your own experiences with kindness in the comments below. We read every single one, and your stories inspire us to keep bringing you these powerful moments of humanity. Now, let's get back to that hotel room and find out what Mr. Chen had to say. Mr. Chen walked slowly into the room, glancing at Emma sleeping peacefully under the covers. Marcus braced himself for the conversation he'd been dreading. He'd worked so hard to keep his personal life from affecting his career, but single parenthood didn't come with an off switch. There were sick days and parent-teacher conferences and moments like this when backup plans fell through, and he had to choose between his child and his job. "I need to explain about today," Marcus started, his voice barely above a whisper. "The babysitter situation. I know it was unprofessional to bring Emma, and I'll make sure it never happens again. I can arrange to leave first thing in the morning if you need me to." Mr. Chen held up his hand. "Marcus, stop. That's not why I'm here." He pulled out the desk chair and sat down, gesturing for Marcus to sit on the edge of the bed. "I'm here because I saw something today that I couldn't ignore. I saw you in the hotel restaurant this evening, helping Emma with her homework while simultaneously reviewing tomorrow's presentation materials. I watched you order her the grilled chicken she needed instead of the mac and cheese she wanted because you're trying to take care of her health. I saw you patiently explain a math problem 3 times, never once losing your temper, even though I know you were stressed about work." Marcus felt confused. This wasn't the conversation he'd expected. "Sir, I don't understand." 17 years ago, I was you," Mr. Chen said quietly. "My wife died when my son was 5. I was trying to climb the corporate ladder at a different firm, and I thought I had to hide that part of my life. I thought showing that I was a father first and an employee second would destroy my career. So I pushed my son onto relatives, hired nannies I couldn't afford, and missed most of his childhood trying to prove I could do it all." He paused, and Marcus could see the regret in his eyes. "My son is 32 now, and we barely speak. I sacrificed our relationship for a career that, looking back, would have survived just fine if I'd asked for help." Marcus felt tears building behind his eyes. He'd been carrying the weight of single parenthood alone for so long, terrified that showing any weakness would cost him the job that kept a roof over Emma's head. "I called you to this conference because you're talented, Marcus. Your ideas are creative and your work ethic is strong. But today, I didn't see an employee who was failing. I saw a father who was succeeding against impossible odds, and I realized I've been failing you as a boss, by not creating an environment where you felt safe being both a great father and a great employee. Mr. Chen reached into his robe pocket and pulled out a piece of paper. This is a proposal I'm presenting to the executive board next week. Flexible work arrangements, remote options for parents, emergency childcare support, and better family leave policies. I'm using your situation as the case study, with your permission, because no one should have to choose between taking care of their child and keeping their job. Marcus couldn't hold back the tears anymore. I thought you were here to fire me. Fire you? Marcus, I'm here to apologize. I should have noticed you were struggling months ago. I should have created a workplace where you felt comfortable telling me when you needed help. That's on me, not you. Mr. Chen stood up and walked toward the door, then turned back. Take tomorrow off. Spend it with Emma. There's an aquarium in this city that my son loved when he was her age. Make a memory with her. The conference will be here when you get back, and so will your job. After Mr. Chen left, Marcus sat in the quiet hotel room watching his daughter sleep. He thought about all the nights he'd stayed up worrying, all the times he'd felt like he was failing at everything. And he thought about his boss, a man he'd always seen as stern and unapproachable, revealing his own pain in order to prevent Marcus from making the same mistakes. The next morning, Marcus and Emma went to the aquarium. They watched dolphins play and pressed their faces against the glass to see the sharks swim by. Emma laughed and pointed and asked a million questions, and Marcus was fully present for every single moment. Sometimes kindness doesn't look like a grand gesture. Sometimes it looks like a boss standing at your hotel room door at 2 a.m, sharing his own story of loss and regret so you don't have to walk that same painful road. Sometimes it's someone in power using their position to change a system instead of blaming the people struggling within it. And sometimes kindness is simply giving someone permission to be human. Mr. Chen's policies did get approved, and they changed the culture of the entire company. But more than that, his words that night changed Marcus's life. They reminded him that asking for help wasn't weakness, and that being a good father made him a better employee, not worse. Real kindness sees people's struggles and responds with compassion instead of judgment. It creates space for humanity in places that often forget we all have lives and loves outside of work. And it reminds us that the most powerful thing we can do is use whatever privilege or position we have to make life a little easier for someone else. That's the kind of kindness that changes the world, one hotel room conversation at a time.